A recent interview with Neil Druckman actually gave me a lot of confidence, more confidence in Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. And that's saying something because listen, after The Last of Us Online and the way they handled the second season of The Last of Us TV show, I was a little shaky on if these guys had lost their way. Now, I was anticipating not even liking The Last of Us Part 2 at all, and I ended up loving it, okay? They really won me over. But it quickly seemed like things were going in a bad direction. But as the dust has settled, the choice about The Last of Us Online, I think, was the right call, because I do think it's clear that single-player studios, they should stick to their core competency and stay away from live service. And listen, TV shows have a lot of moving parts. So the second season of The Last of Us cannot be laid at Druckman's feet, or even Naughty Dog's feet for that matter. So why did the recent interview bolster my confidence? Well, we have talked a lot lately about letting passion be the driver of game development. Expedition 33 and Hollow Knight Silksong are standing very tall in 2025. And it's very clear that passion was a huge aspect of what helped these games land as strongly as they did. And it was a question about if Intergalactic as a franchise was going to be their focus instead of The Last of Us Part 3 or Uncharted. And this really made my ears perk up. This was the question. This is what Variety asked him. They said, Intergalactic was announced as a new franchise. So does that mean Naughty Dog's focus moving forward is on additional Intergalactic games after Heretic Prophet? Or is there a chance you do The Last of Us 3 or a new Uncharted game next? And this was Neil's answer. He said, we don't tend to plan too much in the future because we find, and this is something I inherited, it's just the Naughty Dog culture, that we do our best work when it's something we're really excited about, really passionate about. Now, I'm just going to pause here and I'm going to say that it's really hard to argue with this given the studio's history and their catalog of games and their quality. Uncharted 4 is consistently praised for being ahead of its time. The Last of Us Part 2 is still pointed to today as a game with phenomenal combat systems and AI systems for the NPCs trying to find you and attack you. The sort of emergent dynamic property of the combat in that game is phenomenal. Now, for perspective, Uncharted 4 released in 2016. The Last of Us Part 2 released in 2020. So 5 years ago and 9 years ago. And those games today are still looked to as marks of the quality from Naughty Dog. In other words, their work has a very long tail of relevancy, which that's not really common for single-player games. Now, Neil Druckman's answer continued. He said, quote, just to give you an example, when we finished The Last of Us Part 2, and that was highly successful for us, we were debating whether we should just go straight into The Last of Us 3, and we had a really long period where we looked at ideas for maybe what could be in that game. We have Uncharted as an IP, we have Jak and Daxter as an IP, but the team was really excited to do this sci-fi thing, and we've been talking about it for a while, and that's where our passion is. So that's where we're moving forward. Now, listen, let's be honest about something. It would have been really, really easy for them to just do the next thing, okay? In a very corporate way, that's what many studios do. They just start working on the sequel, right? Well, this game did really, really well. 10 million copies sold of Part 2 or whatever it was. It's like, well, let's just go to The Last of Us Part 3. But similar to how Santa Monica said they only wanted to do one more Norse game for God of War. They didn't want to, stay there for forever. The studio wanted to move on. Naughty Dog decided to let passion be the driver. Now, this is good for a whole bunch of reasons. Forcing The Last of Us Part 3 would have probably hurt it. It would have felt very canned. It would have felt, again, very forced. Forcing another Uncharted would have also hurt it for similar reasons. It wouldn't have felt genuine, authentic, or exciting. Passion will push the team to deliver another great game and another great franchise. But does this mean that they will only be purely driven by passion? Well, not necessarily, because he ends his answer by saying, I'm sure if Intergalactic is successful, we will see it again. Whether that will be our next game right after that, I can't say, and I leave that door open. Not to be coy for this particular question. We want to see how we feel once we're done with it and look at the options in front of us, because we have some other ideas that we'd like to explore as well. So you can tell from this answer, success does play a role, but he's also leaving things pretty wide open. Well, maybe the team will be fired up about an Intergalactic sequel, but maybe not. Maybe the deep systems and the ambitious nature of this game will make them want to take what they've learned and take it into another game. Maybe they'll want to take it into The Last of Us Part 3. Maybe they'll want to take it into a brand new Uncharted. Either way you shake it, they are letting passion stay in the room and be a big deciding factor. That, to me, is the secret ingredient for Intergalactic that makes me feel good, because it was the secret ingredients all their games up to this point. But that's just what I think. I'd love to know what you think.